Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to India Heads Kaleidoscope with me, Advaita Kala. Today, of course, we've seen a mini bomb explode with the alleged toolkit that the Congress has supposedly, allegedly penned, and the BJP has gone to town with all its senior leaders tweeting this toolkit and different sections from this toolkit. I think we'll get into that a little bit, but it's from whatever one has read online of the passages that have been shared, it's extremely diabolical and indicates a very kind of well thought out strategy to defame not only the prime minister but also the country. I must also put on record here that the Congress has denied that this is their toolkit. In fact, they are going to be pursuing legal options against senior leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party who have shared this. And I think what we have ahead of us is a long battle. However, this top toolkit exposed or has been trending on social media all day long, and it's really created huge buzz. And of course, there are many people who believe every word of it, and the Congress is on the defensive. BJP being an opposition party, being used to being in the opposition, is best when it plays offense. So they're going hard with this toolkit, and the Congress is, as usual, in a defensive position. And I'm joined today by a panel that has been tracking this very closely. And I'll invite them all to offer their opening comments, starting with Shehzad Poonawalla, who is the only one amongst us who's actually worked in a political party and knows a little bit about what goes on inside a political party, including the Congress, which was the party he was associated with. So Shehzad, let's start with you and first of all, try and figure out how realistic are these toolkits? Do political parties actually use them for communication and then onwards?
Thank you so much, Advaita, for having me and with such esteemed guests on your panel every evening. But let me come to the point. Yes, political parties do use toolkits, and I don't think anybody on this panel would per se have a problem with the Congress party trying to utilize a toolkit, although they deny that this is not the toolkit that they have edited or written. But that's not really the point. The real point, Advaita, is only this, that leave who made the toolkit, whether this toolkit is authentic, not authentic. The point is that Indian variant of this disease, this was something, and I will show to you and your viewers that the Congress party, irrespective of whether the toolkit is authentic or not, right from Rahul Gandhi to the spokespersons, to a large number of people who belong to the Congress ecosystem. An example of that is a person called Sonia Falero, who is the daughter of a Goan MP. Suhel and Shefali would definitely know that Mr. Eduardo, his daughter, who belongs to the Congress ecosystem, Mr. Tharoor, the Congress MP, all of them are on record using this Indian variant for the COVID strain that has afflicted India, which the WHO said that, listen, we do not appreciate using the term Indian variant or Modi variant for this kind of strain. Now, my limited point is, forget whether this toolkit, and let me tell you, Congress party, BJP, all political parties use some sort of a toolkit. So if some party is trying to tell you that, no, we never use toolkit, that is just plain lies. But let's assume this toolkit is not authentic. The BJP's fudged this toolkit. Why is it that everything that is part of this toolkit is actually something that the Congress party did? Rahul Gandhi, I can show you the tweet of Rahul Gandhi where he's quoted it as Indian variant. There is tweets of Shashi Tharoor where he said the word Indian variant to propagate it. There is a statement of Supriya Shrinate where she said that it is the Indian variant. So I just have one question, that whether you had a toolkit or you didn't have a toolkit, did you actually have the mindset to call this Indian variant? And if the Congress called it the Indian variant, which I have the proof for, did they call this the Wuhan virus? Did they call it the Chinese virus? I'm sorry, I don't know what will be the repercussions. They haven't, right? So if they didn't do that, why were they using the term Indian variant, whether it was in their toolkit or not? In Modi Virod, did they not actually do something that hurts India and Indian interests? Indian people got targeted. India got a bad name. Even the WHO scoffed at it. My limited point is only this. Forget the toolkit and its authenticity.
No, absolutely. And I think there was this thing, the same people would say that, oh, calling it the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus was racist, xenophobic. But, they're happy to call it the Indian variant. They're happy to, Shehzad is showing us something.
This is
Shehzad,
Rahul Gandhi's tweet. Rahul Gandhi's tweet where he's called it the Indian coronavirus variant reaches Switzerland. This has been tweeted and it's been Instagrammed by Rahul Gandhi from his official account.
Suhail, what do you have to say to that? These same people will take these positions that this is xenophobic, and then go ahead and call it the Indian variant, Indian variant. In fact, some of them will even say the Modi variant. It's just so wrong on so many levels that you would do this, or at least maintain a consistent position. If you have a problem with Chinese variant or Wuhan variant, then have a problem with Indian variant as well.
So I don't know about the variants, but I've from day one been tweeting and calling it the Chinese virus. Why? It's not racist. It emerged from Wuhan. When I last checked, Wuhan was a province in China. Unless China has transferred that province to Australia, I don't know. So I will always call it the Chinese virus. Whether people think it's racist or not, it doesn't matter, because I need to tell people, and the world must need to know, and the world needs to know, that China is a rogue nation and has continued to perpetrate this kind of nonsense on the world. So if people say, oh, all the Chinese people, no, it's the People's Republic of China and their government that is responsible. If they go to, or if they are hauled up before any tribunal for war crimes or genocide, it'll be Xi Jinping. They're not going to pluck a farmer from the eastern seaboard of China and haul him up over the coals. So that's number one. Number two, and this is an important point, it doesn't matter if the Congress did it or not. The fact that people believe the Congress could have done it is the worst indictment. That to my mind is telling of what people actually believe of the Congress. ये है कि भाई आपने कहा कि नहीं कहा, पर आपके कहने की क्षमता है, आप कह सकते थे, हाँ, ये जरूर कह सकते थे. That in itself puts everything to rest. After that, it is all a matter of legalese. Now I'll come to the third point. The BJP doesn't know how to govern in these areas. They had all of today. They have control of the IB. They have control of the Delhi police. They have control over all these agencies. How difficult was it to find out where this toolkit originated from? It's an IT issue. They have an IT cell, which apart from abusing can also use its brains to find out where this emerged from. And they're going to put all that evidence on the table. Now, the Congress is going to deflect because most of it is anti-India. It's not about anti-Modi or anti-BJP. As I said on a television program the other day, Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi can abuse each other. But it's the citizen who is losing his loved ones. The citizen is dying. The citizen is in trouble. So my view is, you had all day today. You could have actually used a more robust mechanism of finding out where this toolkit emerged from. If the toolkit is genuine, the Congress has yet again killed itself. But, this is the rider, the Congress always puts its foot in the mouth. The BJP doesn't know what to do with it. The BJP will issue a rebuttal, will issue, oh, Rahul Gandhi, shame on you, shame on you. No, there needs to be something more. What that something more is, let the experts talk about. But it's quite clear that people will believe that, yes, the Congress could have said that. That in itself is the worst indictment. Because Rahul Gandhi, in his entire battle during this pandemic, has actually never given a solution. He has always raised a problem. He has never said, okay, this is what we need to do. It's almost always as if he's being cynical and castigating the Prime Minister, whoever's working on this. That's my limited opening point.
But also, the Congress is known for being a very porous organization. In the past, very high level, decisions in their body, in their highest bodies have been leaked to the press. So it's not unusual, unlike the BJP that manages to, keep its secrets close to its chest, to the extent that you won't even know who's being sworn in as ministers before the swearing in ceremony. The Congress has been very kind of leaking things and, part of the Chinese whispers, no pun intended, scenario in Lutyens, Delhi. So Abhijit, there is a porosity in the Congress, and it's quite likely that this, I don't know if it's genuine or not, but it doesn't seem very unlikely that it could have been leaked from their end itself.
Look, we're talking about one toolkit at the moment. There are in fact two toolkits that have been leaked today. One is about the COVID. The second is about Central Vista, on how to go around demeaning it. And I'm sorry to be so uncharitable, but generally these BJP types, they can't write a concise document like this. They don't have the English ability to do it. They usually write a whole chapter of the Mahabharata first, and then somewhere at the end they will put in the facts. Okay. I'm sorry, it's the truth.
It's so elitist, but anyway,
it's very
the BJP, generally, if you look at the caliber of BJP propaganda that comes out, it is like taking a 1.5 hour Hollywood movie and turning it into a 1,500 episode Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi serial, complete with, that lights going and shock look on their faces and rasode mein kaun tha kind of nonsense and things like that. But let me tell you why I think it is authentic. There is a fundamental disconnect in that document, if you see, which reflects the Congress mentality and reeks in Rahul Gandhi's Twitter timeline, which is that their English is very good, but it has zero inkling of the pulse of the nation. People are very angry with the government, but they are disgusted with Rahul Gandhi and the Congress. Nobody I know who is angry with Modi is looking up to Rahul Gandhi or the Congress as their savior. In fact, they are full of revulsion for the Congress. And this document very actively reflects that disconnect, that for all your linguistic and propaganda sophistication, you are so disconnected with the Indian people. And then remember the very first part of the document. What is part one of the document? To demonize Hindus and the Kumbh Mela. They might as well have called it the Hindu virus variant, the Hindu variant. That is what they're trying to do, mind you. Because note, if you look at what Rana Ayub wrote in Time and what all these other jokers wrote in other things, not one of them mentioned the farmers' protests or the fact that the second epicenter of this whole thing was Mumbai. For them, it all starts off with the Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is the super spreader event. Now, when you know that there is a Hindu consolidation happening in this country, they still don't get, after losing 2 elections so badly, where the mood of the country is and how the country is going to react to things like this. After 44 and 52 seats, if you still don't get this message, this is that fundamental bipolarity in that family's mind, they don't get it. So sophistication also betrays that mental corruption that is out there. So I believe it is authentic.
And I think you're not alone in believing that. I mean, just the fact that it's a storm really out there. And like Suhel rightly said, people are believing it to be true, which is probably, already much more damaging to the Congress than any court proceeding or anything following this will be. Shefali, just to get your views as well, Abhijit made a point about how this is intensifying. People may be upset with Modi at this present time. But their sort of dislike for the other side seems to be overriding that. That's what Abhijit seems to say. Do you agree with that? And and of course, what do you think of this toolkit?
Oh, I totally agree with that. Everybody, even the most avowed BJP supporter who has been probably feeling a little disillusioned with the party at this point of time, not in their wildest dreams would they ever imagine that we would have been better off with Rahul Gandhi at the helm of affairs. That is a given. And it's not just about the BJP supporters, it's about pretty much every thinking citizen of this country. Even avowed Modi haters also would not, unless they are Congress paid trolls or something like that, would not believe that India would have fared better under Rahul Gandhi. Nobody in their right minds thinks that. But as again, as Shehzad said, that I don't know who wrote the toolkit or who came up with it. But if you look backwards and if you look at the document as a plan, and if you sort of analyze the tweets of Congress leaders, including Rahul Gandhi and Shashi Tharoor, the top leadership, you will find that everything fits. And what I personally found the most distressing thing in the toolkit, and if you look back on the Twitter behavior of the Congress leaders, is the fact that the toolkit says that reserve some beds in selected hospitals for our people, do not release them till we tell them to. And the second part was liaise with foreign correspondents and give them good images of devastation, death, and cremations, so that this is published in international media, and then we can publicize it ourselves. And if you see Rahul Gandhi's timeline, you will see that he has been posting the same images of funeral pyres and cremations that the New York Times and Washington Post have been selling. You know, the kind of disaster porn that foreign publications have been selling. And unfortunately, India's opposition party, so-called opposition party, which thinks of itself as a national opposition party, even though no one else thinks of them like that they would actually splash these images at such times, it's despicable. And when you look back on whatever is there in the document and you try to analyze the tweet behavior or even the public utterances of all the Congress leaders, you will find that everything fits, every single thing, including calling the Kumbh super spreader event, not mentioning anything about the farmer agitation, not saying anything about the markas or any religious gathering of Islam, saying that Eid is a very nice family festival, to peddling disaster porn, to calling it an Indian variant while not mentioning that it is that B1617 or whatever the virus name is, or even sharing cover stories of magazines, which is what the toolkit says, which has the same keywords that missing Modi, missing Amit Shah, missing government. I mean, even if whoever did the toolkit, even if it was written by analyzing the tweet behavior and public behavior of Congress leaders backwards, you could see that there is a definite pattern, there's a definite plan. And it's despicable that in this time, this is a national calamity, okay? This is a national calamity that would have overwhelmed any administration, no matter how prepared you were, the sheer scale of events that happened. Sure, there have been some lapses. I'm not saying no, but at this time, the opposition should have been standing by the government, and more importantly, should have been standing by with the people of India. Instead of that, they come up with what I believe is a true, completely empathyless document, which basically treats Indian people as disposable diapers. They don't care about people dying. They don't care about people, waiting for hours in a line in the crematorium. All they want is a good image of funeral pyres. This is pathetic. And this is a party that wants to come to power in India. And they say that they want to do that because they care for the people of India. What does this toolkit say?
Shehzad, this is not just the Congress leaders who have been tweeting in a particular manner, which, is reflected in the toolkit. But there seems to be an entire ecosystem which is linked back and forth, from media, domestic as well as international, plus, intellectuals or celebs who are associated with them. These are the kind of plans that have been laid out in this alleged toolkit, wherein there is an entire ecosystem that is being kind of put to work. And we have seen, for example, I think it was Kaushik Basu in New York, the economist, who was already talking about 2024 and how a regime change, what that would mean for the economy, etc. Those kind of, conversations are already happening. What is your take on this ecosystem sort of that has been galvanized?
Advaita, if I could just use one line in Hindi, Hindi में कहावत है, प्रत्यक्ष को प्रमाण की आवश्यकता नहीं होती. In this particular case, even if we deny the veracity of this toolkit, because Congress party in its bluff and bluster has tried to say कि ये toolkit हमारा नहीं है, हम FIR कर रहे हैं, complaint कर रहे हैं, and they've put all kinds of sections. Look at the kind of attitude Congress has had on every issue even before this. They have, and their ecosystem has constantly run to international agencies in Modi Virod and have not cared about the fact that it could actually tarnish India's image. You would remember Manishankar Iyer had gone to Pakistan and he said, ki, please help us depose Modi. Now they cannot deny that, or else they will say that even that was fake. That happened, right? You remember, and Abhijit is here, a delegation of the Congress party went to that godforsaken Labour Party chief on the issue of Kashmir, Jeremy Corbyn, the
Yes.
India hater.
Yes.
Can that be denied? They opened up a party office in Turkey. At the time, Turkey was giving grief to India on Kashmir. Rahul Gandhi's statements on Article 370 were published on the first page of the dossier Pakistan gave. Ghulam Nabi Azad said that the Indian army kills more Indian citizens than it kills terrorists. That was also used by Pakistan in international forum. So time and again, Modi विरोध करते करते देश विरोध में उतर आना ये कांग्रेस का DNA है. That you don't need to, that can't be denied. That is a fact. Now, let me tell you 3 or 4 points that the Congress and the ecosystem did do. Forget the toolkit. I showed you that Rahul Gandhi himself tweeted Indian variant. Shashi Tharoor himself tweeted Indian variant. Why would you defame your country calling it the Indian variant when people like Suhel, Seth, etc. have actually been pointing out with great effort that, listen, we need to corner that country which actually gave this to the entire world. So you've undermined efforts of people like Suhel by saying that, no, India is also guilty for spreading this virus. Point number 1. Point number 2, the other aspect that Abhijit spoke about. प्रत्यक्ष को प्रमाण की जरूरत नहीं है. Kumbh Mela was targeted as being a super spreader. I believe Kumbh should never have happened. I believe that. Many people here have said that. One word about the Kisan Andolan. There has been documented data today that the second wave is not actually from Maharashtra. The second wave started because people came from UK, they came to Punjab, there was intermingling in those villages, and those people then came to Haryana, Delhi, on the borders of Delhi, and they spread the virus. And Punjab, 80% of the virus is actually traced back to the UK variant, so-called UK variant. Haryana also, Delhi also, West Bengal and the Kumbh Mela. If you see the total positivity, the TPR or even the variants there are not those more transmissible variants. It is these super spreaders that are attributable to those variants. So please, but one word about this by the Congress party, no, they continue to push it. In Punjab, they continue to push these andolans. They continue to give it patronage. They continue to say nothing about the Eid congregations, whether it was in Rajasthan, whether it was in Telangana, in Hyderabad. Not a word. I would assume that if you criticize the poll rallies, you criticized the Kumbh Mela, where was your criticism about the Eid gatherings and about the Kisan Andolans? And finally, amplify the pictures of distress, crematoriums, burning pyres. Rahul Gandhi did it on his timeline. Now, with folded hands, Suhel has traveled more from this world. Suhel must have read a news report about New York that for 1 year, bodies have been kept in refrigerated trucks. Is that also not lacking dignity of death? These stories have occurred everywhere, sir. These stories have occurred everywhere. But why is it that only my country's harsh stories were propagated in collusion with America? America has 5 times less population and 5 times better infrastructure. Their death rate, even if I double India's deaths, is still 3 times more than India. Let's get the facts clear. America, the per million death and the per million cases is far more than India. And by the way, America is also underreported. Please pick up the Lancet. Please pick up the University of Pennsylvania. Please pick up the university, other university documents. America has also been underreporting deaths to the tune of 30 to 40%. You can ask Mr. Iyer or you can ask anybody who's read something. I used to have Dr. Bagai on the panel with me on such live streams. He's given each documentation of how America's underreported deaths. But we never amplified this. This proves... Yeah. Sorry, please.
Finish.
मेरा कहने का मतलब यह है कि मोदी विरोध करो. यहाँ पर बैठे कई लोग मोदी विरोध करते हैं, बीजेपी विरोध करते हैं. These are not spineless people on the panel. They call out the BJP, but because they call out the BJP or they call out the Congress, never once has Suhel, Seth or Shefali Vaidya actually put India to the international forum and said that India ही बर्बाद हो गया है. This is the difference between a Suhel, Seth, a Shefali Vaidya and the Congress party. That's all I want to say.
And mind you, in America, not just underreporting, the New York governor sent positive people into old age homes, which created a super spreader event. He sent people in to die and to kill. And he underreported it deliberately. Here, understand, in India, what happens is data has a 6 to 8 month lag. Do you remember during the first wave, there was all this news from Bhopal and UP coming out of burial at a Muslim burial ground, space at burial grounds running out. And ultimately that was reflected 6 to 8 months down the line. So here you have a significant problem of delayed reporting. I mean, everybody in India knows the bureaucracy is slow, boss. Everybody in India knows the data and statistical collection process is slow. Here, it isn't even an error of omission. Here, it is a delay of a bureaucracy. There, it was an active, act of basically manslaughter in that sense, what the New York governor did. Second, it's very important to remember that, yes, the American press did publish images of the dead and dying, and of these bodies stored in refrigeration. But remember, they never did it during the peak.
Yeah.
They did it well after the crisis had passed in January, February, and things like that, because they knew what the mental health consequences were. Right? So we need to be very clear about it. Here, there has been a systematic campaign to demoralize and defame. And mind you, the same people in the international press, like Shehzad was pointing out, were saying, oh, Chinese variant is so racist, are now so casually using Indian variant.
Yeah.
I wish, you by all means call it the Modi variant, but why are you throwing your country down the drain and seeing to it that more people are dying? Or, the only thing you have right now is hope. Even that you are destroying. I mean, what kind of despicable people are you, yeah?
No, and I remember in Italy and places like that, they were actually having to choose the people that they wanted to save. And those who were 60 plus were at times, because they didn't have the medical infrastructure. And this is a country which is a wealthy country, which is a country that is supposedly in the European Union also has a very good medical infrastructure reputation. So these are the difficult choices that nations around the world have had to make. And us with our density, population density and the issues that we have when it comes to, discipline, even basic social discipline when to following rules is so problematic. I'm looking at Singapore, wherein Singapore, which is one of the most disciplined societies and a proactive government, they're now struggling. They're heading back to lockdown. Children are getting infected there. It's horrible what's happening.
Also, Advaita, remember the second wave in Japan. Nobody is talking about Japan. Japan has run out of beds. And this is the most socially distancing compliant, mask compliant. If you remember, I think all of us here have been to Japan. We've all seen on the Tokyo metro how even during, well before, 10, 15 years back, when I first landed up in Japan 20 years back, in the metro, they'd all be wearing masks. Because there's a social taboo. It's okay to smoke on a train. It is not okay to sneeze in a train out there. Right? So they are such a compliant society, and they are reeling under what is happening in Japan right now. They've run out of beds. So ye bhi Modi ne karwaya kya?
See, Advaita, there is a very important issue that is swirling in India today. Somehow, some political parties, and it is not only the Congress, some political parties believe that when you are anti-India, you are as a corollary anti-Modi. They have not been able to distinguish between the idea of India, the nation state, and a political party called the BJP, helmed by Narendra Modi. It's going to cause three issues. Abhijit touched upon one of them. If you look around today, people are very fragile. People are fearful both of life and livelihood. I'm not saying that hold out straws of hope which don't exist. That's not my premise. There are times when political parties sink their differences and come together for a larger cause. This is one of them. This is that inflection point. 26/11, when it happened in Bombay, was that inflection point as well. When we wage wars with enemies, that's the inflection point. Somehow, these idiots, and pardon my saying so, don't recognize that this is a war of gigantic proportions, except the enemy is a virus. But it's a war that each one of us is fighting willy-nilly, whether we want to be part of the war or not. We are part of the war in any case. So there needs to be gravitas in what we say. And I'm saying this both about the BJP and the Congress, because they are the two major parties. There needs to be Sanyam, Dhairya. There needs to be some level of understanding that what statement of mine can create what kind of panic. Go back to vaccine hesitancy. It was started by Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav, whatever their reasons are. But you actually derailed the entire process of vaccination in this country, leading to dosage wastage. It shouldn't have happened. So I believe that unless we have responsible politicians, we will never have a responsible polity. People can't be your pawns forever. People can't be the shrimp that are killed when whales fight. There must be some mechanism of responsibility. For that, to take this toolkit to its logical conclusion is important. Whether it is fake, then people need to be taken to task. If it is genuine, people need to be taken to task. I am not a lawyer. I don't know what the legal situation is. But then if you need to punish them under laws of sedition, treason, I don't know what those laws are. But it cannot be a situation where people can abuse the country and make it fashionable and equate the abuse for India as abuse against Modi. That, to my mind, is an important point that needs to be parked.
You know, Shefali, whether the toolkit is fake or genuine, what you correctly pointed out is that the things mentioned in it have actually been done by people in the party, you know. So that is what is really problematic, more than the genuine or the fakeness of this toolkit, right?
Yeah, it's like a plan. And if you work backwards, and if you chart out the tweets of prominent Congress leaders and prominent people from their ecosystem, you will realize that every single point that's there in the toolkit has been seen. And if you just join the dots together, what you will see is that it's not just immoral, it's not just a power struggle. And that's what really bothers me. I would understand a opposition party criticizing the party in power for legitimate reasons, but this is not just immoral, it's evil and it's criminal. It's like people are suffering, people are fearful, the whole country is going through hell. And at that point of time, instead of showing empathy, instead of showing, you know, that you understand the pain of people, you're basically treating the people of India as an expendable commodity, as just, you know, pictures of cremation pyres. They're not people to you. They're just, it's just good, or as that Annie Gowan called it, stunning image. That's all. You're only interested in, and pointing about at every point of time. If you look back on the Congress leaders, why has it been granted permission when the clinical trials are not all over, and don't take the Indian vaccine? So there's a lot of vaccine hesitancy initially. They actually discouraged people from trying the vaccines. And now they're saying that, oh, we all want vaccines. The government should provide us vaccines tomorrow. At every point of time, this government, this opposition party, Congress, has done the same thing. Even for election rallies, they really started the clamor against election rallies after the polling was over in Kerala and Tamil Nadu and in Puducherry, where Congress had any real chance. So only before the fourth phase of Bengal, suddenly everybody wakes up and says that, oh no, election rally should not have happened. Were they sleeping before that? Didn't Congress or Congress leaders, didn't Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary have a big rally in West Bengal before that? So Rahul Gandhi, when he knows that he is sick, so one day before that, he announced grandly that he is not going to campaign in West Bengal. And then the next day he says, oh, I'm COVID positive. I mean, are we supposed to, are we stupid enough to believe that he didn't know about that? At every point of time, the political leadership of Congress has behaved like ghouls. They have preyed on the pain and sorrow of Indians. And that's what bothers me. that this toolkit is not just any document, but it's a very evil, it's a criminal document which basically undermines the pains of Indians and tries to put India down in their diabolical plan to wrest political power again.
Shefali made just one mention.
Sure.
Yeah. Shefali made a very important point. See, toolkit, perniciousness, all these things have now become part of the political grandstanding. My only point is, politics is about setting the agenda. For far too long, the Congress has set the agenda and BJP has responded. The BJP, to my mind, has lost its inventiveness. They are very good as an election machine, very poor at strategizing. They need to come back to that level. You see, if you set the agenda, the other person responds. In any case, there's a mismatch. Here, the Congress is setting the agenda, being in the opposition. And the BJP is scrambling to, for instance, CAA, done by the Congress, Aadhaar, done by the Congress, NRC, Congress issue, GST, Congress issue, started then, except that those guys couldn't implement it. पर सारा दोष आपने बीजेपी के खाते में डाल दिया, और BJP is constantly defending. When you're defending, you're automatically weakened. If you're the last batsman to bat, you're not going to score, and if it's not a T20, of course, you're not going to score a 6 off the first ball if your team is precariously positioned. So they're always in a defense mode. And I think that equation needs to change, and change dramatically. Sorry, Shehzad, please.
No, I completely agree with you. And Suhel is obviously talking about the larger thing. But did you notice one thing, and maybe all of y'all can weigh in on it? When the Congress, after Sambit Patra's toolkit expose, came out to respond, Suhel, Abhijit, Shefali, and Advaita, they did not say that we disagree with the contents of this. They did not say we disagree with the intent of this toolkit. They said, ye hamara nahi hai. Ye hamara toolkit nahi hai. But we don't disagree necessarily with what is being said, which is that it is A, anti-Hindu, B, that it makes India look like a bad, country that can't manage its affairs, that there is an Indian strain that is spreading the disease across the world, that photographs of cremations should be amplified, that you should get international media to run down your country in international publications, and that the Congress party was actually, amplify the efforts of one party, use it as a PR stunt. All of those things, they didn't have a principal problem with it. I didn't hear Pawan Kheda go around saying that how dare you accuse us of saying that we besmirched the Kumbh, but we didn't say anything about Eid or Kisan. We did say about the Eid or Kisan. No, he didn't say that. He said, ye hamara nahi hai. You have morphed our logo. So that to itself is another story to examine, that Congress has no problem with the content and the intent of the toolkit. They just have a problem with the credit of the toolkit, saying ki hamara nahi hai. That itself says a lot.
But they can't have a problem with the content of the toolkit. No, I mean, you look back and you analyze their tweets and their public utterances, you will find that every single line in the toolkit fits. So if the BJP has indeed done this toolkit, then I would say that they have taken great pains in trying to go backwards and analyze the whole thing. I don't think they have done it, because I haven't seen this kind of ingenuity from them before. But if they have, that's creditable. But the Congress cannot really deny, because every single word in the toolkit has been already done. And if you see so many tweets which people have unearthed of Congress leaders, of people from their ecosystem, you will find that word for word, even the kind of phrases that have been used in the toolkit have been used by the Congress party. So how can they have a problem with the content? They can't deny it.
That's
it's out there in the public
Suhel's
domain.
first line of this conversation was the most perceptible. He said that kiya nahi kiya chhod do, wo lag rahe guilty. They are guilty by perception, because he has obviously judged it the fact that Congress is capable of doing it even if they've not done it. That's the real problem.
And that's the real image problem also. I mean, Suhel is somebody who's an image guru of sorts, or branding guru.
Branding. Dilip Cherian claims and is the image guru. I'm not.
Sorry, I'm getting my gurus confused.
I'm a simple disciple of Dilip Cherian and all of you. I will just pick up from where Shefali and Shehzad left. The issue is not about the image of the Congress. If they had a good image, they'd be elected. The issue is about the image of India. The constant battering that our image has taken across the world. Some justifiably, some unjustifiably. The justifiable bits are when people abroad are writing because they don't have a goddamn clue. But when our own people misrepresent, misreport, and have an angularity that is very, very tragic, that is my one. I have no issues about 100 of our journalists abusing Modi. It's their right, it's their business. Yeah. But then also be humane enough to praise where praise is deserving. Now, here's the tragedy. There is a lot of good happening in India. Indians helping Indians, people going out of their way to help, people grieving with other people. These are not normal times. India has behaved extraordinarily as far as respite, help, empathy, and succor are concerned. That in itself is a great story. You know, I've Instagrammed saying when the history of this time is written, people will remember how Indians helped Indians. And when I say Indians, I include government, state, central. Now, why would you want to disbowel? Why would you want to disallow even that basic credit to whoever it is? Why would you get on to abuse every day? Why would you sit in your goddamn cynical frigging cubicle and ask questions of the Prime Minister, the answers of which you have none? You don't even have an intellectual side to yourself. You're an intellectually innocent human being. Why would you behave like a tiger when actually your habit, your mindset, and everything else is rodent-like? But that's what Twitter does. It allows pygmies to become giants without either size of intellect or size of stature. With the result that you have all these guys fighting with each other. And my constant belief is never get into a fight with a pig. You'll get dirty, but the pig will love it. Now, what these people are doing is every day there's a fight. Boom, 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 boom. So my view is expose this toolkit for whatever it's worth. Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. If it is a fake, then whoever's done it within the BJP needs to be wrapped on the knuckles really hard. Actually remove his knuckles or her knuckles. If it is the Congress, take it to its logical conclusion legally. Let them know that you cannot abuse the country repeatedly. You cannot abuse the services of this country repeatedly. You are not a power unto yourself. Rahul Gandhi is not the goddamn headmaster who's every day asking students, "Aaj beta tumne kya kiya? Tumne kya kiya? What have you done?" Sweet bugger all. Sitting in your goddamn offices having your chamchas write tweets, that's responsibility, that's politics, that's gravitas. It shows you for what you are. If a human being can't give another human being credit, if a human being doesn't have gratitude and he doesn't have empathy, he's no human being. That's my view. Sorry to get upset.
No, Advaita, because I have to leave the stream, can I just have one last line, and I promise I'll keep it short. And I'll take मैं आपसे अलविदा भी लूंगा. Just taking on to what Suhel has said. Suhel, you know, Rahul Gandhi is not as powerless as he may want us to think. He runs large number of state governments, and the 5 state governments where he has a participation, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, and Punjab, have 22% of the population, 50% of the caseload, 44% of the COVID deaths, and they are regularly, like the Maharashtra model, or if you examine the Rajasthan model, their TPR is quite, their positivity rate has been quite high. The testings are going down, the RT-PCR testings are going down, and there are stories of underreporting right from Telangana. The court has chastised them. There are stories in Rajasthan, Punjab, Maharashtra, underreporting, fudging of deaths. A lot of people have brought those out, but some sections of the media and Rahul Gandhi seem to only see that things are happening wrong in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. And this shows that for political capital, what kind of vulturism, you target Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, but talk about what's happening in your states, and you target Modi, but why target India? That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you for joining us, Shehzad.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for your patience. No, not at all. We look forward to having you back with us soon.
Soon, and maybe with happier times with Suhel. Thank you. Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
We've
Thank you.
received a comment also from Hiramba Narayan Datta, who says sensible, educated, right-wing people like those present here are the hope against these vultures defaming India.
I think Suhel, Abhijit, and Shefali are India wing. Even if I can be asked to be right wing, I think all of them are India wing. So they put India first. And thank you for that. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Abhijit, you wanted to sort of, go ahead, Shefali.
You know what, just one sentence. When Suhel Seth was talking about gravitas and Rahul Gandhi in the same sentence, I actually laughed. And nobody accused Rahul Gandhi of gravitas. Nobody ever. I don't think even his mother has accused him of gravitas ever.
You know, Abhijit, you've been very quiet during this debate, like unusually so, that I'm getting comments saying, I love Advaita more than AIM. Which is a big moment for me, because AIM is quite the star on YouTube. So Abhijit, I mean, you know, what is the deal here? Do you think, where do you see this going, this whole toolkit business?
Look, there's a reason that Modi continues to be the prime minister and win with bigger margins. In spite of being a, say, mediocre to substandard administrator. See, you can delegitimize somebody in power, but then you have to ensure that that delegitimization leads to a transfer of votes to you. And when you make yourself so completely despicable that nobody wants to vote for you, what have you achieved at the end of the day? I can tell you in the last election, not the Tamil Nadu election, but the general election in 2019, I had made up my mind, you know, that I wasn't going to vote for the BJP. Well, I mean, it's ADMK or DMK in my constituency. And every time I went to push the DMK button, I saw Rahul Gandhi's face. And I just couldn't push the button. So I then just held my nose and pushed the ADMK button. Now, at what point is this party going to get that when you show so much callousness and a lack of empathy for your own people and your own, and want to, you know, throw your country under the bus on every international sphere, how can people trust you? Tell me what TV audience that watches Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi ever roots for the stepmother or the Sasuma? They only, you know, support the poor, persecuted housewife. So you want to be the villain of the story. Tell me, what has the Congress done to make itself loved? Nothing. This is the tragedy of India. We may have a bad government, but we have a absolutely atrocious, despicable opposition that is far, far, far worse than the government.
So basically you're saying Congress is the Sasuma, when it should have been the tortured Bahu in that sense.
Exactly.
Of the soap operas.
And you know, the sad part of all of this is the BJP is still clueless about everything. Instead of taking action, and this is where the Congress has trapped itself, that they have filed a defamation case against JP Nadda and somebody else. They have forced the action on the BJP that the BJP wasn't willing to take.
You know, right. Yesterday, Abhijit, yesterday there was a debate that we had on Bengal, and Mr. Nageshwar Rao was there, who is a very senior ex-police officer, now retired. And he was talking about the future he saw for India. And he said in 15, 20 years from now, there will be total anarchy in India. And part of the reason why he said that was, you know, because of all these goings on that are happening, this kind of violence that goes uncommented, people getting displaced, all of those kind of things. Now, if you look at the contents of this toolkit, fake or real, whatever it is, but if you look at the things that have been listed out, those things have actually happened.
Yes.
And those things happening means that there is a defamation of India that's taking place, but also a weakening of the democratic ethos and identity of this country and what it offers its citizens. So the question really from our viewer is that, do you think this view of there being an anarchic state a few years from now holds water?
It does, because see, these are things, these are self-fulfilling prophecies. For example, let me give you an international relations example. When Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland broke free of Soviet yoke in 1990, when was it, 1990 or 1991? What happened was that because they wanted to get into the EU, they went on creating this bogeyman of Russia being the enemy, when Russia was licking its own wounds and couldn't do damn all to anyone. They were in serious economic collapse. They were incapable of maintaining a military or whatever. And going on creating this bogeyman, that bogeyman became real. Because of the venom they spread against Russia, and now it's irretrievably poisoned. So what is happening here is somewhere between the abdication of responsibility and the incompetence of the BJP, who are essentially Donald Duck or Daffy Duck, being portrayed as Darth Vader by the Congress and the rest of the opposition, Daffy Duck will turn into Darth Vader. There is going to be a moment where, Luke Skywalker is falling down into that this thing, and Darth Vader holds on to him and says, Luke Skywalker, I am your father. That moment is coming. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will happen. Because once you create the narrative, everything else has to fit that narrative. That is the tragedy.
Right. Shefali, you wanted to come in? I think Shefali's internet is giving
No,
us...
I just found it. Yeah, there's a lot of lag here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but not see you. Yes, now better.
Okay. I just found the whole Darth Vader thing very funny. So I just I was quietly having a chuckle to myself. But as I said, for me, after reading the toolkit, the primary emotion I have is of disgust. That what a party calls itself a chief opposition party of India, that it has zero empathy, that it would go to such extent to defame the country in order to satisfy its objective about regaining or wresting power back, is something that I cannot comprehend. To a time when every Indian is hurting, far affected. If you're personally not sick, or even if your family is not sick, you're still affected with what has been going on. And at this point of time, just to add on, and the general despair everywhere, it's not even. So that is my problem. That this toolkit is not just immoral, that it's... Hello?
Yeah, Shefali, there is some issue with your internet, so we'll have to come back to you. But Shefali, I want to ask Abhijit.
1 second. Shefali, just turn off your camera and the audio should work fine.
In the meanwhile, Abhijit, there is a question for you from Vinod N. He wants to know that AIM, is there a possibility of an alternative political ideology through revolution to bring in change? Do you see a sapling of it?
No, unfortunately not, because there is the only outflanking now that is possible. See, the left space is so cramped now. Basically, the BJP moved hard left. So initially that stampeded out the CPI. And now they're pretty much crushing the Congress because there's absolutely no variation in anybody's economic policy. So the only outflanking possible now is to the right. And that requires a lot of work. Remember, the RSS creating the Jan Sangh took how many years? It's taken almost, 50, 60 years for them to come to power.
Yeah.
It's going to take you another 50, 60 years to create that right-wing outflanking of the BJP now. And that might 50, 60 years might be too late. And you never know, in those 50, 60 years, that so-called right-wing thing would have turned as far left as the BJP has. Also, if you're talking about revolution in terms of, say, a dictatorship or things like that, remember the problem with a dictatorship is it's only as good or as bad as the person in charge. If you have incompetent people in charge, the mistakes tend to get magnified and they become synergistically worse. So, never a good idea. But I mean, try. Wishful thinking, but yeah.
What?
Sure.
But like Mao would say, a revolution is not a dinner party. So I think there are just too many dinner parties that are going on.
Actually, you should have your opposition for dinner.
So I just want closing comments from all of you. We can start with Suhel and then Abhijit and finally Shefali.
My whole thing is there is a time for politics and there is a time for people. There is a time to abuse and there is a time to come together. Create a toolkit for hope. Create a toolkit which has solutions. Create a toolkit which helps India ride this pandemic with vigor, vitality, and alacrity. Don't create toolkits which create panic. Don't create toolkits which spread fear. They spread disillusionment. You're a political party. It's a democracy of, by, for the people. It's not of, by, for Rahul Gandhi or Narendra Modi. Recognize that. That's it.
And Abhijit?
What really worries me is this country has taken a very sociopathic turn, the polity of this country. It's completely lost empathy and it's turned into this noxious, nasty body politic where there is zero human empathy. Societies can't survive like this because the glue of a society is two things: salience and substance. Salience is what separates us from the rest, which seems to have completely broken down. Substance is what connects us to each other, which is also now completely broken down. Or is in the process, it's in the advanced stages of breaking down. No society can survive like this. And it's a pity that nobody sees that. We're now completely Ram Bharose.
Abhijit, there's a question from Serpent Blade 870 who wants to know if WHO was right to name it COVID-19. China originated viral infectious disease 2019. That's his abbreviation. I think he's making a guess that that's what COVID stands for.
It doesn't, but anyway, it's, look, the WHO is you need to understand they are a bunch of decrepit farts who operate as a cabal. They are the most noxious, slimy libertines you will ever meet. There is no, opposition candidate in the WHO elections in Geneva. It's a choice of Mao Zedong in sepia tint, Mao Zedong in fuchsia tint, Mao Zedong in grayscale, and Mao Zedong in black and white. They are all deep in with the pharmaceutical lobby and that entire system that Bill and Melinda Gates have created. Jeffrey Epstein's great bosom buddy, Bill Gates, has created of, academically controlling the medical discourse. If you go back, there is a very important piece that came out in Wired yesterday or day before, not the Wire.in, Wired, the American publication, which shows you that the WHO scientists were so inured. It was known that it was an airborne disease way back last year. And because of their set definitions of 5 microns being the threshold for being airborne, They didn't even they aggressively challenged the new physics that was emerging and all the experimental science that had disproved their assumptions. I can still show you tweets on Dr. Dead's, sorry, is it Dr. Ted? I call him Dr. Dead. Dr. Dead's timeline saying, do not wear a mask if you are not sick.
He should be tried for war crimes.
That fellow needs to, exactly. He needs, he needs to be put in shackles, displayed in a public square in Geneva, and he needs to be tried for war crimes. That entire cabal, I don't know why countries are still funding the WHO. There needs to be a serious reckoning out there.
Yeah, Trump fixed him.
Trump tried to fix him, and
Trump
then this entire lobby came at him. Right? Dr. Fauci is another part of the problem. That man has been wrong about everything right from the beginning. He's a clown. I mean, he looks like a Mickey Mouse. Apparently his medicine is also Mickey Mouse.
You know, when Abhijit was describing WHO, saying that it's a bunch of old farts, I was like, are you talking about the WHO or are you talking about the Congress? Because even there, it's like Gandhi with white hair, Gandhi with six-pack, and Gandhi with Dadi Jaisi Naak. It's like the similarities are startling.
Hello,
anyway.
But again, as usual, it's been a pleasure. I do want to have you all back because I want to really talk about this China WHO nexus. As we all know, the Lancet article was also written by a Chinese, and you know, there's a lot to discuss here, and it's very important that we dive into this, especially as new evidence emerges regularly. But again, thank you so much. We've had the highest viewers that we've ever had on the show, and I'd like to thank you all for being with me today to discuss this. Again, time will tell whether this toolkit is real or not, but its contents is certainly something that we have seen in action, and that cannot be denied. And once again, please like, subscribe, share this conversation, and we'll be back soon with another one. Thank you.
Jai Hind.